so easy to go back 30, 40, 50 years and take a context and take it completely out of context. And I mean, you know, I get all this information about other people's past and what they've done and not done. And, you know, I'm just not going to go there.
Not going to go there. Joe Biden on his approach to the 2020 race. This, of course, after Senator Kamala Harris's debate night attack triggered a tightening in the polls. The latest out of Iowa has Biden holding on to first place, but only at 24%. You see the fundraising figures there. Many are kind of parsing those details as well. Well, joining me right now is the Democratic strategist Antoine Seawright, former senior advisor to Hillary Clinton's campaign in South Carolina, and Boston Herald radio host Adriana Cohen, also a nationally syndicated columnist. Thank you for all being here. Adriana, let me start with you. What do you make of Biden saying that he's not going to go there? He doesn't plan to go on the offensive there.
I think that's a grave mistake. I mean, look how much traction Kamala Harris got during the last Democratic debate by taking on Biden. She has her poll numbers have jumped dramatically. She's increased her fundraising. Biden is going to have to show that he's a fighter. If he can't take on members of his own party, how is he going to take on Donald Trump with a roaring economy?
Yeah, in the meantime, Antoine, Biden is also pushing back on the idea that most Democrats are moving to the far left. Take a listen.
Look who won last time out. We had, and by the way, I think Ocasio-Cortez is a brilliant, bright woman, but she won a primary. In the general election fights, who won? Mainstream Democrats who are very progressive on social issues and very strong on education, health care. Look, my North Star is the middle class. When the middle class does well, everybody does well. It's center left. That's where I am. Where it's not is way left.
Antoine, interesting take for the vice president, former vice president there, talking when he's running in the Democratic primary where everybody's far left right now, it seems.
Well, first of all, to Adriana, no disrespect, but I love when Republicans try to give Democrats advice about what we should be doing in our own party. I think you guys have your own problems. The second thing is I think the vice president has his finger on the political pulse. If we look at what reality is, in that our party is a center-left party. 80% of the people in our party identify with being center-left. Also, if you look at what it took to be successful in the midterms, I joined several members of the Congressional Black Caucus and went around this country to help get us in the majority status. And guess what? Vice President Biden was the most requested surrogate in places where not many other Democrats could go and campaign, and we won those districts. They were not dark blue districts. They were districts that Trump won in 16 that we were able to carry in 18, and they had a very center-left approach to their messaging, and I think he gets it. And at the end of the day, if we drive into this narrative that the Republicans want us to of being a way left party, I don't know if we can maintain our majority in the Congress, because it's not just about the presidency that will be on the ballot next year.
I want you to pick up on that, Adriana, and see if you have any other advice that you'd like to offer to Antoine and Democrats on all of that. But in the meantime, take a look at the fundraising numbers, because they are staggering for the second quarter. The Trump campaign and the RNC announcing a combined $105 million. The Democrats, you can see their numbers. Mayor Pete Buttigieg with the highest there, $24.8 million. Do those numbers kind of indicate a problem for the Democrats?
Oh, it certainly does. I mean, it shows the enormous enthusiasm that Americans across this country have for the Trump administration. And if we look at individual donors, online donors, President Trump's campaign has had 750,000 individual online donors. That is just staggering. And if you could just compare that to the Democrats, I mean, look at Mayor Pete. He's raised $24 million in the past 3 months. President Trump raised that exact number in just one day after he announced that he was his re-election campaign. So that speaks for itself.
Go ahead, Antoine.
But let me say this. I agree. It's not a worry problem for the Democrats. I think it's a lesson for the Democrats. It's a lesson in the fact that the Republicans are starting to consolidate, and we are steady tearing each other apart in this primary process, and we cannot afford to do that. I think we all should adopt the philosophy that I think the vice president is adopting from Jay-Z when he says nobody wins when the family feuds. Look, we can't get into the business of tearing each other apart to where we repeat our sins of 2016 and not have consolidated support around our nominee
But let me
going
put
into
this
the
out
2020
there.
election.
Let me put this out there to both of you, because 2 years ago or 3 years ago, the Republicans were tearing each other apart. President Trump didn't necessarily have the staunch support and money backing of the RNC, and he wasn't raising all that much money. So does all of that actually matter? You know, the 100+ million? Antoine.
Absolutely it does. And guess what? We're not the Republicans. What we know about the Republican Party, whether you agree or not, like it or not, they fall in line. We tend to fall in love. And sometimes when they consolidate, we tend to grow apart after we have a nominee because we all don't agree with the policy agenda or the policy subscription that our nominee subscribes to. So we can't repeat, again, the sins we saw in 2016. This is not 2008 where Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. The urgency of the moment is totally different. Donald Trump was not the president, and so we have to govern ourselves accordingly.
And Adriana, I want to get you to give the final word in all of this.
Well, President Trump has a tremendous advantage going into 2020 simply because he's the incumbent. I mean, incumbents have tremendous, if we look at history going back to the 1900s, 80% of the presidents running got reelected just by being an incumbent. Then you have the roaring economy. We have historically low unemployment. And those two things alone put President Trump in a very great place to get reelected.
There are many people
and
who are
he's
saying
an
that
endangered species on life support going into re-election.
His poll numbers are very, very low, and the Democrats do have an enthusiasm on their side, at least according to the polls. We're going to leave it there. Antoine and Adriana, thank you.
Thank you.
California reeling from a 7.1